Currently, the United States is facing a pretty big decision overall. Uh, we are having to determine whether or not we are going to legalize marijuana. Today we'll be discussing the current state laws in place as well as ones that are in the works. We'll be talking about the benefits of the legalization of marijuana as well as the possible negative effects, as well as America's current status in dealing with the problems that are at hand right now. According to John Hoffel's article in the LA Times, the California people have signed petitions in order to pass an initiative to legalize marijuana for the purpose of recreational use and allow it to be sold and taxed. And in signing the petition, they were required to get 433,971 signatures, while the supporters turned in 694,248 signatures. So obviously there's more interest than just the average drug users out there. At this time, California is one of 14 states that has a current law in place for the medical use of marijuana. It has not proven to be a difficult process to get that, but it has caused a lot of controversy in doing so. In researching for this particular speech, I ran across quite a few different articles. One in particular that struck me was written by a gentleman by the name of Joe Klein in the CNN website. His title of his article was "Why Legalizing Marijuana Makes Sense." Now, in the case of California, the particular amount of money that is generated by the cash crop that is marijuana is approximately $14 billion a year annually. If we were to tax that particular amount of funds, that would generate $1.4 billion in annual funds for the state of California. Now, because California is having such a difficult time financially, economically, there's severe unemployment, people are losing their homes, this is a viable source of income for them. The other subject matter that he brought to forefront that I thought was of interest was that there was a lot of generation of business opportunities in doing so. You would have the ability to create, a huge variety of marketability. You would have the actual growing process, the actual selling process, the setting up of the businesses themselves. It would just generate an awful lot of resources for the state of California. The other subject matter that he broached was the fact that we spend $68 billion a year in corrections. In other words, sending people, to jail, arresting people. Of those $68 billion, $22 billion of that is directed to non-violent crimes. And of those non-violent crimes, 47.5% is related to marijuana. So basically, we're spending $11 billion a year arresting people for the use of marijuana. To me, that generates an enormous amount of monies that we don't need to be spending. I would think to say that if we were able to create the income from the source of growing and or selling the product, and then also not having to spend the $11 billion a year that we spend arresting people for it, would generate an enormous amount of income for the United States as a whole. Now, as far as the possible negative side effects of legalizing marijuana, I referred to a website called druglibrary.org, and on that particular website There was a couple of different things. There was the effects of children, the negative effects on the children, as noted by Dr. Andrea Barthwell. She is the former Deputy Director of the National Drug Control Policy at the White House. She is quoted as saying, "By characterizing the use of illegal drugs as quasi-legal, state-sanctioned, Saturday afternoon fun, legalizers destabilize the societal norm that drug use is dangerous. They undercut the goals of stopping the initiation of drug use to prevent addiction. Children entering drug abuse treatment routinely report that they heard pot is a medicine, and therefore it is believed to be good to use." On a personal note, I have spent the last 23 years raising my daughter. I have had conversations regarding the use of marijuana with both her and her girlfriends, and none of this has ever come to bear. I don't think I've ever heard, not once, that they all thought that marijuana was a medicine and it was good to use. The other thing that I was also made aware of was reference from the Department of Transportation, and that was on the ProCon website. And they basically said that marijuana impairs performance when used while driving. Well, yes, I'm sure it does, but so does alcohol and any other legal drugs that are out there. So I don't feel that that is necessarily a stopping point for the legalization of marijuana. Overall, I feel that America is a country that is in financial disarray. The legalization of marijuana would give us the ability to generate work. It would give us the ability to get out of debt. And also on that ProCon website, there are approximately 99 physicians that have given the pros and cons of the use of marijuana. Throughout that whole process of reading them all, it was determined that medically it is not proven to be worse than legal drugs or alcohol, which are already out on the streets and being used daily by each and every one of us. The other fact that was noted is that it can be regulated to provide safety precautions for medical and recreational usage. Given those statements, given the facts that I've provided, I at this point believe that the use of marijuana for legal purposes is a viable source for income, as well as the economic downturn that we are in at this time. I appreciate your listening. Thank you.